really want to start putting a lot more thought into the show.
I don't like the word complicated if it's not true.
I'm convinced you're right.
Just
You're right.
watch. Welcome back to
Buckle up, baby.
episode 58.
58.
The post-Passover recap episode.
Yeah.
I'm full.
Well, Elon was last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to put Elon out before this one, but we recorded that before Pesach.
Correct.
Yeah.
I said post, not pre.
Post. No, I know, but like Pesach's going to have been a month ago by the time this comes out.
Right. Oh, fine. So I don't have to date it.
Yeah.
Pesach 2024.
Pesach's every year. Yeah. Maybe this is a pre-Pesach one.
Yeah, we're a little rusty. It's weird
Yeah.
without a guest here. I feel like we've had guests a couple times.
Yeah.
Couple episodes.
It is.
All right, just me and you.
It is kind of weird. We could just watch something.
You want to watch TV?
Yeah.
Cool. Cocomelon? Are you on that yet, Cocomelon?
I'm on it and off it.
What do you
It's
mean?
forbidden in my home.
Explain.
Cocomelon is like you don't become worth $1 billion by doing good things for children. Like,
You don't think so?
No,
This is-
Cocomelon's
Oh,
bad.
But not by that metric. There are some people who've done good things for children. Mr. Rogers was a successful
I don't
guy.
think it's worth $1 billion.
Is Cocomelon worth $1 billion?
It's worth $1 billion. They have focus groups of children that they track their eyes to make sure they're watching second to second. They have a warehouse in somewhere in London, I think.
It would not bother me at all if it was good.
Right.
Bluey is an adorable show.
No, but Bluey and Cocomelon aren't doing the same thing. Cocomelon's
Bluey's
job-
successful.
But Bluey's job isn't to keep kids interested second to second.
Right.
It's to create 15 minutes of content for
Right.
Nickelodeon and like build a relationship where a kid wants to maybe watch an episode a couple of times. Cocomelon is like, if they're not watching for an hour and a half straight, it's failed. It's mission. Like
Retention. Audio,
retention. Yeah.
Retention.
Bluey's
Attention, retention.
the primary goal for Bluey isn't retention. So there's a big difference there. A big difference.
Do you know what happens to people who really want to watch Bluey, but they have to withdraw and they can't?
Bluey balls?
They get Bluey balls. I thought of that while you were talking, and I completely didn't hear what you said about. I lost retention, attention, and then I kept thinking
Wait,
Bluey balls. But Bluey is a successful show too.
It's successful, but it's not. They can both be successful, but what they're trying to accomplish aren't the same things.
But $1 billion. You're saying that because Cocomelon is worth $1 billion, it must be suspect. I'm saying it's suspect because it's bad. The fact that it's working is bad too.
So I guess something that's bad that's worth $1 billion. You have to be like, so what is this?
Yes, what's the sauce?
Maybe that's the better.
I'm not.
way to
This is
explain
not worth
it.
arguing about because I'm with you. The show is going.
Yeah. We've been really on Bluey. Tumbleleaf, have you seen that? Our daughter is really good at just navigating the iPad by herself, and she found the show Tumbleleaf on Amazon. Really gorgeous show.
Very nice.
We
go on YouTube, and my youngest son watches toy trucks with a Russian narrator. That can't be good. Vladimir Putin car. I don't know what's going on, but he'll watch kids playing with toys. That's another $1 billion thing.
Yeah,
You know?
all bad. It's all in the Mr. Beast category, I think. Of I'm saying like for a baby, they're supposed to get bored. They're not supposed to be that engaged for that long.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like she'll watch Sesame Street. And she'll watch it for 10 minutes and then take a break and go play with something and come back to it. And I'm like,
good.
or she's like, I don't like this part. And I'm like, great. You're not supposed to like every single part of every single thing you do. Like, go do something else if you don't like it. Cocomelon's like, I don't like this part. Cut it.
Adults are suffering from. My ear is literally just got clogged. Can you hear it? Mike?
Can I hear your ear in the mic?
You will on the episode.
Okay.
You ever listen? Like I put my phone to my ear sometimes if it's clogged, and I'll go like this, and I'll go.
No.
It's fascinating. Out there is. Oh, it just went.
It's good. This is good content.
You know that feeling?
Yeah, we're doing
when your ear pops finally, and you don't even know.
You know about tubes, like for kids, little kids'
You have
ears.
to do that.
It's where their kids are like constantly. Yeah.
This is the daddy vlog. Daddy pod.
Thankfully, though, I mean, thank God. Hopefully, God willing, it all goes according to plan and
I
well.
want to hear the tubes. That's a great name for a dad podcast.
The
Dad
tubes.
Pod.
Dad Pod. Yeah, it is a good name.
If we have to rebrand, I got a dad pod. A dad pod. Is there not one out?
There's other buckle ups, but we'd be hopefully the best dad pod.
Dad pod is a great name.
That's really good.
I'm also aware my outfit is atrocious. This is the post Pesach. Forget it. I don't know. I have to wear everything that has loose. Anyway, your kid's getting tubes in the ears.
I mean, look at me. Look at both of us.
Yeah, it's horrible. Your kid's getting tubes in the ears?
Hopefully, yeah. That's the plan.
Which one?
The smaller one, the boy.
He's been screaming.
He's been. And we didn't realize he's had like 7 or 8 ear infections this winter.
He's been unwell.
He's been uncomfortable. He's been uncomfortable since he was like 3 or 6 months old. He's been uncomfortable.
Jeez.
And then I heard about tubes and I was like, oh God, I hope we don't have to do that. But then our friend did it and they're like, it's actually not a big deal at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the kid's life changes. Right. So I was like excited about it. And finally
Would you have been freaked out if one day he just looked at you and said, I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell.
Well, he doesn't really talk that much, I think, because he
What
can't
if he
hear.
just did that one random day? You'd be like,
yeah, I think I would.
Like, I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. Matchbox 20 can come on in my head at random times in life.
Matchbox 20 used to be when I drove from New York to Maryland back to college by myself late at night. I listened to Matchbox 20.
Well,
I love Matchbox 20.
We don't.
They're really good.
It's
Rob
mom
Thomas?
rock. It's mom rock.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it is 95.5.
Still good.
Matchbox 20. There's
Still
something
good.
It's just on the. It's not edgy. It's not soft. It's that's sweet.
It's right there.
I think they call it. I think that's a term. Mom rock.
It's right there.
Women in their 40s.
Yeah.
It's not amazing.
It's fine. It's fine.
They don't have the best song in the world in any category ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's
the buckle up of rock music.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of just like the bowl of cereal. It's fine.
Yeah. Speaking of what I want to do, we're at 57 now. I really want to
58. This will be
58. Yeah. I really want to start putting a lot more thought into the show.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start really thinking about how we can make the best hour we can make.
And how do we do that? Most of our episodes are about the show.
Yeah.
The amount of time we spend talking about the pod itself without other topics.
I think coming up with topics beforehand would be helpful. I think doing more of like the demos of what you're working on, what I'm working on, and giving each other feedback. I think that was fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else. I think we got to talk about it.
The guests help. I've been enjoying our guests.
Guests are good, but also with guests, I think the Robbie episode was informative. Of like there was a question we wanted to ask her about her pronouns and about her top surgery and about the whole thing, and we just didn't do it
because we had met her that day. That was the first time. I think she was the first guest.
It didn't feel
and we just didn't know her well enough to get too personal. That's really where my barrier.
It felt uncomfortable, but I think like I want to make sure that every guest we have, when it starts to feel like that 45-minute mark where it's time to wrap up, we go, so tell us about your creative routine. Tell us, like, let's go at the thing we want to hear about.
A little more goal-oriented episodes than just
at some point. It's hard, because, like, it was hard to ask Robbie that question, but that was kind of our job. I want to make sure we, like, do our job.
I guess. Was it? The truth is, sometimes you go with what the guest goes with, and she didn't really she wasn't taken with that whole identity.
That's how it felt. How it felt. But both of us watched it, and we're like,
yeah, because I'm still curious, but I at the same time, I am curious about that part of it, but I wouldn't call it a fail in any way other than a learning experience.
Yeah, that kind of failure. The learning experience.
No, I mean, like, I don't know what's the it just sometimes you just have to go in. If you go in with too much preparation or too much expectation of a specific direction, then it can become a manufactured conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we both made the decision, and she also like had to run at some point. She kind of put the kibosh on that. But anyway, I wanna like think about it like we're putting a show out on TV every week, and like you wouldn't just put a show out on TV every week willy nilly. You'd be like, all right, we're getting in front of the camera. What do we do?
We've definitely cruised a lot on the wingability of it. We're pretty good at it.
I think we get by pretty well.
Yeah,
we get by pretty well.
But doesn't mean it can't be enhanced by little preparation.
Yeah, yeah.
Little bit.
Even like listening to
Little
Tim
bit.
Dillon, you know, it sounds like he's winging it. I started picking up now where it's edited. You can hear where they like pick up the audio.
Right.
And also he'll come in, they'll be talking, and then I'll be like, "You hear about this Caitlyn Jenner thing?" And
Yeah.
like, you know, he has like an agenda. He's good at it, so it doesn't feel that way necessarily. But someone's doing that work behind the scenes.
Passover.
Passover.
How was yours?
Passover was nice.
Great.
Passover was nice.
Okay, so we covered that. You saw me streaming from the Holy Land.
Yeah, you do your best work on Passover.
You think so?
You know, I think Frumi Umi is your best work.
You know, so I this year was the first year I shared Frumi Umi with the masses. I did.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that.
Okay.
Ask. Because Sarah, my wife, was asking what.
Wife. You like hesitated. Sarah, my friend,
wife.
Yeah.
What it feels like to share that niche Jewish stuff with an audience that doesn't probably, you definitely don't know you for that and might not care for it, and you haven't done it until now. What's that calculation like?
There's no calculation. I think that let me think about this.
Or how does it feel?
I think authentic characters are authentic characters. So even people who don't know this person, I think might not get every joke. But remember when you told me that story of Louis C.K. going to a stand-up comedy show in French and laughed at all the right parts, even though he couldn't understand what she was saying?
Yeah.
So obviously the people who speak French get it at one level, but at like a like they get it at a cerebral level, but at sort of a gut level of understanding. Like imagine they're meeting this person who I'm pretending to be for the first time. So like they're not going to get all the little references and things like that. But if I was watching, for instance, there's this woman on social media, a comedian, Indian woman, Narn. I'm going to get her name wrong. But she talks about like inside stuff. Or when I watch a clip of Akash's crowd work with Punjabi, Indian stuff. Like I don't get it, but I'm laughing.
Right.
Like I get that what he's saying is funny, even if I couldn't explain why.
Right.
And he's like there's a lot more information in a character that somebody's doing. Like in Frumi Umi, there's a lot more information there than I even realize or you realize to a person who knows nothing. They're like, so this person, like this character, she's obviously from some like wealthy, like entitled, like there's all this information that you're just take at face value for granted. You know it already. It's almost like, so when they're seeing it, they're just like, whoa. And as long as it's real and believable, they'll pick up on that. And the only difference is it's new for them. So there's a learning curve. But that doesn't mean you're not in on like what's funny.
So that's a great answer. What has the reaction been like?
They want Frumi Umi on tour. There hasn't been much of a reaction. I was only sharing in stories and little bits.
Would that be so funny if you did a song in your act, you put on a wig and did Frumi Umi?
Well, I did Frumi Umi in a perm sketch.
Yeah, but that's something you could incorporate.
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't know how to do it outside the way I've been doing it yet. Like to come on stage and do it.
What kind of? I think you'll come up with a song and you'll be like, "Oh, this is actually Frumi Umi's song, and it should be in her voice."
Right, maybe. In stand-up, I will say that might be harder to do. Like, you might be hard to get up in front of a crowd that's like completely secular and doesn't get it. Might not work. Stand-up has slightly different like parameters. You know, it might need more contextualization.
Yeah. Well, the real joke I think is Long Island women.
Yeah.
Rich Long Island women, which that's what Frumi Umi is.
Right.
She also happens to be Jewish.
Right.
But this like Tim Dillon talks about how like Long Island women like how he talks about how Long Island men are actually really gay because they're all married to these very masculine
alpha women.
Yeah, who are like these butch masculine women.
Oh, that's a different kind of Long Island woman, not a Jewish Long Island woman.
Not Jewish, but they share
Not butch.
but no, she's not butch, but they share a certain assertiveness,
right,
and aggression and entitlement and meanness.
So I think to the extent that whatever character I'm doing is authentic and legitimate.
Yeah.
Like she's funny to you, and the only difference is affiliation. Like the Jews know her, so it's funny in a deep, resonant way. Like I know this person, and I guess if you don't know, it might be a little bit confusing, like the inside like lingo that I use and stuff. But whatever.
There's also
I don't think about it too much. To me, it was more like let's just throw it up. I some people are like, "Isn't your crowd like hard, right?" I'm like, "No, not really."
Yeah.
Some people are like, "Isn't that an issue?" I'm like, "No, that's like you're projecting your narrow frame as to like how things are divided."
Right.
You know. in terms of like who's out there, like for people who like a Trump video.
It's not all fans aren't all Nazis.
Not
but
all.
There a lot of them are, but not.
There's none.
And Nazis are obsessed with Jewish content.
Actually, I should do a Nazi tour. Nazi, just for skinheads.
Yeah.
But I still don't put the kids out on like the main page or social. I don't do that. So anything that didn't involve them, I just did it, and I was like, I shared it with the masses. I have fun doing it. I like going to like my personal page that's private and just doing a little private. It feels like a private show.
Yeah.
For people who've been following for years, and it's like fun to do, and yeah. So I was in Israel, and it was just glorious.
Yeah. What's your takeaway?
I hadn't been there in 9 years. 9 years. 9. Speaking of Nazis, 9. It's so funny. Like when you read, it's almost like I had not left at all. Like it was so like no time had passed at all since I had been in Israel. When you arrived,
well, where were you in life? Had your daughter been born yet? How old is
baby? I was there like as a with a baby.
With a baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questionably mine. No, I was there with a baby the last time, but now like in the last 9 years, like the way I evaluate places and locations and communities has changed so much.
Totally. That's what I was trying to say.
You see things through a different lens now.
Yeah.
Like Israel's not just like, oh, the place I like went for the year and like had this whole trip, and now you're like looking at like, oh, how do people, my contemporaries, live here?
Yeah, it's like how many are there parks? How close is the nearest park?
Exactly.
Actually, there's a lot of parks here.
But you gauge like how much stuff you notice now.
Yeah.
And through what lens you're viewing things through.
Yeah. Like how happy are the people?
And Israel
here?
to me performed really well through that lens.
Yeah.
In a way that I've never been a guy ever, obviously very, Zionistic, pro-Israel, but it's never been something that I've like, there's people who are like moving to Israel. It was like their goal, or like or something they're really oriented to or strive to do one day. And that was never my thing. I always felt too American. I like would never feel comfortable doing that. It seemed like too big of a leap. And I will tell you, for the first time, I was like, it just started pushing those buttons in a way that never, ever were accessed before.
Yeah.
Because I was like seeing how, also Israel evolves every 5 years. It's a different, it's still so new. Like I was talking about my bandmates were saying like, you forget like Israel's still figuring itself out. It's like in its adolescent stage. As far as countries go, it's 75 years old. So like it changes much more rapidly than like the countries that have had things going a certain way. I just mean in terms of culture and development. Every time I go, there's like, oh, this whole highway didn't exist the last time you were here. This entire town wasn't here,
Yeah.
So it's constantly developing. Here come the comments, by the way. I could just see them. Oh, developing maybe because Israel's stealing land. That's why they're developing. Shut up. But in any way, like every time you go, it really is. It's the same, but it's also like completely new.
Yeah.
And it gets inhabited by whole new demographics of people. And now I would just. You said to me one time, like when you visited in January, right?
Yeah.
There's just like a certain forward-thinking, like energy that's going on there.
Yeah.
That highlighted what's not going on here for me, and it sort of crystallized it. It's more like here is like about like sort of stability, routine, getting rooted and settled, and things are very programmed. I'm trying not to be negative about it, just like assessing how it feels. Suburb life, settling down, rooting, renovations, kitchens. Who's doing your upstairs? Who's doing your downstairs? I don't want to, those things don't excite me too much. Landscaping. And there it felt like much more of the energy that I was used to before I moved back to the East Coast. And I was like, wow.
There's also, though, the city thing of it.
Yeah.
I wonder in like the north and the suburbs if people feel the same.
Well, I went to Renana too. I went to the suburbs, the equivalent of like the Israel suburbs. For like a second, though, I went. I visited some friends there.
Yeah.
But I'd say just even by nature of being in Israel, which is a little different, it carries with it a little bit more.
Yeah, the land really doesn't let you settle. You have to be on your toes there.
Yeah, and Israel also it does technology and innovation really well, but not convenience. It's still missing like that like I was in a nice hotel, but I still like scratched my arm on a jutted nail that was sticking out, and like the bathroom flooded a bunch, and like the pillows aren't soft and the pools aren't heated.
Well, the bathroom is just the shower.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, this is just what it is. It's like a different. There's no AC really, It's like, it's like in a way that's just like that's sort of a European thing too.
Yeah, a lot of coins. You're dealing with a lot of
coins. It's hard. Obviously, still a first world country, but in a way, also just like like all the things we learn about living there. It's like you haven't lived, and I like the idea that kids there. When I was evaluating in terms of kids, the only thing like
very kid friendly.
incredibly kid friendly. Every restaurant, no matter how fancy, was like, yeah, but they have like kids seats,
Yeah.
stuff for your kids, late hours, and
It's kid friendly, and then you'll go in like the city of Jerusalem, and there's a high speed train just going down the sidewalk.
it's kid friendly, and
oh
they
my
don't.
God.
Oh my God, the driving and that whole thing is like your kid is literally like what
Yeah,
exactly what you just said.
There's no car seats. There's the parks are a hazard.
I would just say they treat kids like adults in every possible way. So is it kid friendly, or it's just like we don't infantilize them?
Yeah, maybe.
You know, like they can sit at the table with you, but they also might accident. You have to be careful because we're not stopping for nobody.
Right.
The cars there, when they even if it's a light for them, they pull right up to you. It's all of a sudden it's like like you know, like here you know the car's slow. There's no slowing down in Israel and stopping. There's just
yeah.
So like that.
It's a good metaphor
for life there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm viewing things also through lenses like parenting, and like I love to see, I used to hear people criticize like, oh, America and kids and like being materialistic and kids growing up entitled and all those kinds of things. But now I'm like, I definitely see a difference.
Yeah,
they're much more autonomous, and you know, I was noticing that.
I heard someone talking about like this really hot guy recently who doesn't know how hot he is. Like they're like, yeah, he's so like nice. He's like, but like he's also so hot. And I was like, is he Israeli? They're like, yeah, I think he did grow up in Israel. There's something like you could like, speaking of like the way kids don't grow up with entitlement there.
Yeah.
There's like I think that's a good example of how someone who's like really attractive would grow up in America and become like a monster. Or grow up in Israel and just become like a regular person.
Right.
Like they don't like the values there are so different of what's elevated and what's like celebrated.
The way things are organized in terms of status.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things. Do this, I don't really know. I'm still judging from such a surface level. Like, I don't know what it's like to be an adolescent growing up in Israel and all those kinds of things. But I just from the outside looking in, you're noticing like I went to a park there and it's a very different kind of thing. And like the way people, I was just talking to friends, this is what I'm gathering. I'm trying to gather intel and just curious how people, like I've had friends who've moved there at the same time I moved here and stuff, comparing experiences. And like, there's a lot more of a sense of like each kid kind of does their own thing, is embraced for what they want to do. There's not like, and here everything is kind of done in these sort of mass decisions. Like, oh, we all go here. We send to lab. We do this. There's a lot of like automated, like, choices that people are making on behalf of like, this is what everybody does, whatever. There's a lot of that kind of pressure that I didn't notice in Israel.
There's more options there too.
How so?
Like for camps and schools and restaurants and stuff. Like if you have 5 wildly different kids, there's 5 wildly different places to send them.
That's what I got the sense
like
of
in the same town.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's the nature of it. It felt that way.
Yeah.
At the same time, then there's like, it's not like a simple choice to like live in Israel. Like you like, I like to think, oh, it's just another cool place to live. But like, first of all, you're far from everything else. You're close to Europe and all these things. That's kind of nice and neat. But like, as far as everything else in the world, you're far. And like, I noticed like a tense security apparatus that I pay attention to now, like as a father and whatever. Like, you see your kids noticing it for the first time. My kids are there for the first time. So like with things I'm like, oh, used to like, you know, they're noticing, you know, security and soldiers with guns and chayalim and all these kinds of stuff. And like, you're aware of like, you know, my hard right Israel buttons were just like firing off. I was just like, man, like, yes, Israel has been victorious and has become the thriving nation in the Middle East, but don't by any stretch of the imagination not think it's also the underdog. And like, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of signs that say no Israelis allowed here. There's a lot of places we can't go that aren't safe for us. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like, it's like, come on.
I read this, my cousin who's like, she's older, she's like my dad's first cousin, she gave me this, and anything anyone in my family has that's Hebrew or like religious, they could just give to me if they like, instead of throwing it out. She gave me this book.
Put it into your beard.
She gave me this book from this early 70s of this photographer who was in the old city of Jerusalem the day the War of Independence broke out.
And 67.
Yeah, and he
48.
48.
Yeah.
And he chronicled the weeks leading up to it, and what apparently were these like atrocities that happened in the old city against Jews. But it was so interesting so I read like the whole prologue, I read like his whole story, and it was so interesting to hear him talk about in a way where he really went through geopolitically how all the machinations in the world were working against Israel at that moment. And like now it's so rare to hear the Israel underdog narrative.
Yeah.
But it was so refreshing to remember, that like that's how it was, and probably not much has changed really.
And to that point, I mean,
Yeah.
you get this, like, we spend so much time, say, outside of Israel in exile, talking about these issues over the last like decade that I've not been there. Like, oh, what if we, what solution can we do here? What solution can we do here? Maybe we have to get rid of this settlement, that settlement. And then you're there and you're like, and I was there when some real terrible incidents happened of terrorism against the two girls that were murdered. I was there during that. And when the mother was killed and her two daughters, like I was there for that. And there's a party, and then there's a part of me that just immediately, remember we have this conversation, try to listen to the opposing arguments and understand. Then you're like, you know what? Israel is this, we've heard this before, but a sliver, it's this sliver surrounded by Arab and Muslim countries that have tons of land, tons of property, tons of the ability, so much that could be done for suffering Palestinian people, refugees, and they're not called upon. It's only Israel that keeps getting smaller and smaller in a sense and has to deal with this. Why? It's ridiculous. Like, why put up with any of this?
The why?
It's crazy.
The why is because they feel like, sure, we could go to Egypt, but our home is 5 miles that way. That's
but the argument, our home is 5 miles that way. Fine, so build a state and stop wanting to kill all the Jews in Israel.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
Did you hear?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like I was arguing with people who were more left wing on this, and they were like, and the argument's always the same. I'm like, I had some conversations about it while I was there, as rockets had been coming in from the north and from Gaza. I'm like, so what do you want to do about that? Listen, we have to keep trying. Like, I know, it's difficult, it's complicated, it's there's a lot of pain on both sides, all those kind of things. But I'm like, no. It's not moral to risk the lives of your own citizens for the sake of some grand notion of some two-state solution that doesn't exist. I don't think that's moral for a government to do that. And like, to the extent that they put up with it, I don't think it's right.
Did you hear Noam Weissman on Bushevkin's podcast,
No.
1840?
No.
So you know 1840 with Doug Bushevkin?
Of course,
yeah.
Of course.
So it's a really good podcast about like modern Jewish issues.
Yeah.
So they're having a whole Israel series now.
Yeah.
And Noam Weissman, you know Noam Weissman, right?
Of course.
Yeah, LA. I think he's in Florida now.
Yeah.
It sounds like he gets up at 5:30 a.m. every day. He says.
Cool.
That's all I want to say. No, but he was talking about Israel education, and I thought he spoke so nicely about it. He was saying that, to your point of like it's not complicated. He was saying like we're the people of the Talmud, where like we have 60 volumes of contradictory, very difficult opinions that to hold in your head at once, and how to balance all of that. And then we have, you open up the Bible, the Chumash, and it's one line of text and then 2 pages of commentary. Like this is what like the Jewish tradition is. Like there's the idea, and then there's the debate on the idea.
Okay.
When we talk about Israel education, for some reason there can only be one idea. And his approach is we should, instead of treating it like branding or advocacy, like treat our students like they're mature thinkers and say like this, there's a lot to deal with here. Like he gave this example of like Mahmoud Abbas, who was, I think, the president of
Palestinian Authority.
Yeah. He was somewhere on the 50th anniversary of something, of the 6-Day War maybe, and they said like, it's the 50th anniversary. Can you like reflect on it? And he's
the Nakba, what they call it, you mean? Or
no, I think the Nakba was 1948. Okay. It was the 50th anniversary or something. Okay. I'm not getting details wrong. And he said, can you reflect on it? And he said, yes, like what happened to the Israelis was very bad, but what the Israelis have done to us, they've done 50 Holocausts to us. There was this time, and 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 so Noam saying, he's like, and your blood starts to boil, like, bro, you're getting ready, and he turns to the class. He's like, I'm pissed. Are you pissed too? And the class is like, yeah. He's like, who can tell me what the first example he gave was of the Israeli Holocaust? And like, no one knew. What about the second, third, fourth? Like, no one knew any of these other points in the discussion of like things the Israeli military has done, or like or like points of complication in this whole narrative of like, yeah, just put them here. What's the big deal? But just being able to hold two contradictory thoughts of like, yeah, like they can't be there and they can't be there. And there is no easy solution necessarily. The Palestinians, it's not working. Like you don't want them in refugee camps, and you don't want them coming back home, and they don't want to be in Jordan or in Egypt. So like, but just like being able to, I like the way he was talking about it. Of like, it's really we should be able to say it's complicated.
We should be able to, but not as a crutch to not say what's obvious.
Okay.
That I don't like. I don't like complicated as an umbrella term. Cycle of violence. It's complicated. It's a very difficult issue. These are ways to not say what's painfully obvious in that it seems very clear to me that there's always been an issue in the Middle East with Jews having a state, not with Palestinians not having a state.
Yeah. But
because if they wanted to have one, all they have to do is say, okay, we recognize Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. You do what you do, thrive, and we'll be another Arab Emirates, and we can just build our schools and our infrastructure and talk about peace and tolerance for our neighbors. And maybe Jews can also live in the Palestine state, and Palestinians can live in the Jew. Like maybe we can just do that and respect individual rights and protect civil liberties. Maybe we could do that. So do that instead of wanting to kill every single Jew that exists here from the river to the sea. Simple, not complicated. I don't like the word complicated if it's not true.
Yeah.
Of course, incidences have happened. Has Israel made mistakes? Of course. But fundamentally, the issue is that the Jewish state exists, not that the Palestinian state doesn't exist. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's complicated.
But do you know what I'm saying? I know I'm being I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm just like, that's obviously when you can't draw any other conclusions at the end of the day.
I think I'm joking around, but I think that is 100% true, and I also think it's 100% true that they don't want to do that, and that's not happening. So
who doesn't want to do that?
Like the Palestinians, like all that's. Like that's true, and there's also another idea that's 100%
where
true.
I go to
they're both obvious. And
where I go to complicated or confused or curious. Okay, so I put that aside for a second. I do believe that, but then I'm like, okay, there's a lot of what people don't understand about Israel, especially in all the comment sections. Bring it on in the hashtag Free Palestine comment sections. Is the people who aren't there and don't know, they basically just take at whole cloth the narrative that's portrayed to them of Israel, this oppressor, this colonialist power, victimizing and oppressing Palestinians. I didn't think this episode would go here, but here we are.
I thought it might.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but in Israel, it is complicated in the sense that it is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society that protects minorities, and there are Israeli Arab citizens with equal rights. There are also East Jerusalem Arabs that are not the same as Israeli Arabs, and then there are Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza under the Palestinian Authority, under a different jurisdiction. So there's like three different categories of what a lot of people think are just all Palestinians, and people think they mix up when they talk about the West Bank and Gaza versus Israel proper. There's a lot of sloppy, low resolution thinking on the conversation here in the masses. Maybe I don't blame them because they just don't really follow. They don't know. But if you go to Israel, you'll see everybody all over the place. You don't see apartheid. You going through, especially in Jerusalem, you see everybody. You see all kinds of people: Christians, Jews, Arabs, everybody.
Something I've been thinking about recently is,
and I didn't make the point though. What I'm saying is, you see everybody, and I'm just curious, like when you're in a hotel or you're whatever coming across your Israeli Arab citizen, what do they think when someone's killed in Efrat or there's a terrorist attack that goes off and Jews go, what do they think about that? Do they go, oh,
I'm curious.
Would they want to live in a Palestinian state? Probably not. They probably have it way worse off in a Palestinian state.
Yeah.
What do they think of Palestinians that live in the West Bank and Gaza? Like, what's their relationship to them? Are they related? Are there family members? Is there a kin connect? Because there's different categories in terms of like states of citizenship and relation to Israel.
Yeah.
And there are Israel advocates who are Arab, and Muslim and Arab on Twitter, who are talking about like their experience in trying to dispel all the myths about the portrayals of Israel. There's Israeli Arabs that serve in the army. Yeah. I'm curious about that. That's a conversation I'd want to have.
Me too. We gotta befriend an Arab gentleman.
Yeah, I'd want to have that conversation because I'm like curious. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Me too.
And for people who live in Israel on a regular basis, like there's a lot of just like day-to-day interactions between groups, different groups of people from different religions and different backgrounds. You certainly wouldn't see that in.
Well, on that point of being
countries.
like multi or like diverse, an idea that I've been very intrigued by recently. I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree with it necessarily, but like the idea that like Israel's being like is always accused of being an apartheid state, but sort of like leaning into like maybe it kind of has to be an apartheid state because like to have we all agree we want it to be a Jewish state. No, yeah, but like, but then like, these are the two complicated things. That sounds awful, and we believe in democracy and equal rights and freedom, but we also want it to be a Jewish state,
yes,
not a Jewish state controlled by Jews for Jews that can protect Jews,
right.
And that kind of inevitably means it's going to be apartheid in some capacity. And I've just been intrigued by argument of just bold-facedly being like, yeah, why are we trying so hard not to make this an apartheid state? And
well,
it's
you
like,
just soundbited yourself into the oblivion there. You can never go to shul again.
No, a lot.
You mean in the same way, like
lot of people.
Japan wants to be a Japanese country.
Yeah.
China wants to be a Chinese country.
They want it to be a Jewish state.
Any country wants to define itself culturally. So it's not unique for a country to want to define itself by certain cultural or religious.
Yeah, but Israel's the only one who's the Japanese aren't dealing with. There are so many immigrants that it's no longer going to be.
That.
Yeah, so Israel's dealing with it. So it's really interesting to be like, so what do you do in a?
I will say, currently,
like
by definition, it is not an apartheid state. By definition, it's not.
Well, apartheid definition is controlled by minority over majority,
over
right?
Majority
so
population,
right, so it's not right, but
yes, the whole
there's
argument
talk
is if it were to.
Well, I think that's also partly because the Palestinian refugees aren't considered citizens.
Right?
So,
it still maintains a Jewish majority, and therefore it's by definition not an apartheid state, as the state is.
Right.
But this argument goes. The whole history of it gets very. It's complicated because we are used to the American model of not based on any sort of central cultural or religious a defining feature of a country. But France, like a lot of, even when in the West, France is considered a Catholic country. There's an official church there. In England, like they're like countries have culture, are defined and sometimes organized around certain religions or cultures or things like that. And the case for Israel is often about Jewish vulnerability in the world and the ability of Jews to self-determine and have a state for themselves and a self-governing state for themselves. But also like. Behind all that is this false notion that there existed pre-Israel some flourishing sovereign Palestine that was its own country, that Israel came in and, what's the word? Usurped?
Occupied?
Yeah, occupied, took over and kicked out, colonized that, and that's just not the case. And everyone just assumes that that's the case when you have these conversations.
So it was really interesting reading this photograph book where it was talking about how like they were like these like
you're gonna get obliterated. You're gonna get obliterated for that little blur, but good. It's good for you.
Well, not if we don't clip it out.
Yeah, fine. I'm fine.
No, I
know what you're saying.
It's what I'm talking about. It's being able to hold two radical ideas and consider them and think about them and talk about them.
Apartheid isn't just like the technical majority has the control over it.
That is what an apartheid state is.
Yes, technically. And then when people say apartheid, they're talking about oppressive. All those kinds of awful things that they're talking about with South Africa.
But it's kind of inevitable that they go hand in hand when like you're.
What you're saying is not a not discussed idea like the problem that Israel faces in wanting to maintain.
I'm not advocating it
and be a democracy. That is the fundamental conflict.
I'm just saying I've been finding it interesting and intriguing. I'm not saying I support it, but like I just wanted to, I guess,
say it
out loud on recording.
Yeah.
But now I wish I remember more of the history. There were all these kind of like tribal leaders that had these like under the table agreements with like the French and the British and the Americans who all had a piece of this mandate of like this Middle Eastern country, and like it was promised to several different people and they were all fighting it out. It was like it's so ripe for a limited series, I think. So I'm like just also thinking about that.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating how fluid it was. Like it was not a foregone conclusion that the Jews would win that war. And
what year is this?
Like 1948, like 1947 to 48.
It was now under the control of sort of the British and the French.
So
right?
so the day he was there, the day the British like ship left the port of Haifa, it was like on. Like, it was understood when that ship gets to a certain point, war will begin. And so he was there in the months leading up to it, where they were positioning
48.
themselves all around Syria and Jordan
to destroy
and
Israel.
Palestine, like setting up shop for like we're. And,
what did you just say? Against Syria, Jordan, and what?
And it was Palestine. It wasn't Israel yet. Like that piece of land. But it was just like these like kind of upstart tribal Arabic leaders with like militias who had to deal with like the British government, and they're
what would to become of this when we win?
Yeah, or like we're gonna send you guns, or like the French wanted the like the Jordanian son of the Jordanian guy to win, but the Americans wanted Ben Gurion to win, and it was like just
how
wild
they're gonna parse
stuff.
it up probably in the wake of Arab victory.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that makes sense because after World War I, it was Ottoman, and then it goes to the British. And that's like it falls under British rule. I think in French rule they split it British and French. I believe my history might be a little shoddy, but there's the Peel Commission. There's all these different historical events that call for a Jewish state in this sliver of land that was labeled Palestine, but was not a Palestinian state or government. It was always under these other under control, and Jews were living there and had claim to this land and all that kind of stuff. And I feel the need to say that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people really get it. I think because it was named Palestine, people confuse this little piece of land dubbed Palestine, named by Hadrian, Roman emperor, was Judea, renamed by Hadrian as an insult to the Jews to summon an ancient enemy, the Philistines, and call it Palestina, city of Palestina. After the Second Temple was destroyed, the Emperor Hadrian of Rome renamed the area that was Judea, City of Palestina.
It's a better name, Judea.
Yeah, I
like that.
City, well, Judea, Shomron, Judea, and Shomron.
But then again, there's also complicated. There, like, I mean, you can confront how complicated that is. So, okay, so we did live there for a long time, and then there were people who lived there for another 2,000 years. And just because we came before, it is complicated.
No, it's not. No, scratch all that history if you want. That's one claim you could say about the history of Jewish rightful claims to the land.
Yeah.
But you could scratch all that. What makes a government rightfully exist to begin with at the end of the day? Let's play a little game. And then we probably should move on to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Or some
I want to hear. Yeah, you want to just move on now?
Last one.
What? Military? A mandate
No.
from
I
the
just
UN?
mean like a government. Like, to me, does North Korea have the right to exist?
Yeah, right.
Is it a legitimate government?
Well, it's whoever can set themselves up.
What?
Whoever can set themselves up.
To me, it's more that, like, governments, if you want to get rid of all the history and start from a blank slate, countries that protect individual rights, governments that protect individual rights, that do their proper functions as government and uphold certain moral standards in the country and build themselves. Tel Aviv, there's a before and after from 50 years ago, built itself. That gives you the right to be there, I think. And if you don't stand for those principles, maintain those rights of your citizens and stuff, then you're really not a legitimate government at the end of the day. And if you rank side by side Israel with its neighbors, Israel comes out way, way ahead. Now, that's vague enough. We can move on. I just think at the end of the day, like, that is enough of a claim than any, if you want to scratch all the history and back and forth, it's like, I would say that the fundamental misunderstanding about the two-state solution or the peace process, as it were, rests on the lie that Israel and the Palestinians, or Israel and its entities that it's trying to negotiate with, are moral equals. I just don't see that to be true. Sorry. Let's let that sit for a minute. Moral equals. It doesn't mean there aren't innocent people on both sides, and it doesn't mean that there isn't suffering and pain on both sides in ways, but, like, you know, it's just a fundamental difference between a government that, you know.
What was the best restaurant you ate at?
Okay, yeah. So there's these knafes in the shuk. And we can end on there.
What was the best? Yeah, let's end there.
Let's end like the politics.
No, I'm convinced. You're right. It's
not complicated.
You're right.
Anyway, I don't know. There's a great talk by a guy named Yaron Brook of the Enron Institute that someone should watch on the Middle East peace process. And it's kind of insane, but it also kind of blew my mind.
Okay.
You know, that's where I get that idea from. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. This whole idea of, like, soldier goes into a place and or someone drops a bomb here, that's one thing, and a bus blows up, you know, a terrorist goes onto a bus and blows it up women and children. No, it's just violence on both sides. It's not the same. That's the main idea. I'm gonna talk to myself for a while. You can go. With best restaurant. It was a little difficult because of Passover, but I had about a week before and a week after.
Right, you did it well.
I did the shook crawl. I mean, a lot of different food, stuffed my face.
What was the best?
One thing that's amazing about Israel is that the army. No, one thing that's amazing about Israel is food-wise, you can never get in the States or anywhere outside of Israel kosher street food.
Right.
No restaurant could sustain itself on street food where you could just like, well, I'll try a little bit of that, try a little bit of that. It's always like, oh, you got to go to this spot with a bunch of other Jews and hopefully it's good.
And it's schnitzel.
Yeah, but hopefully it's better than most when you go to like a nice restaurant here or like a cool restaurant or you go to Miami or anything like that. But in Israel, you could just crawl through and just boom. It's like Kirby.
The crawl, yeah.
So what did I have that was good? I went to this place called Hatch, which had some dank wings.
Hatch was good, yeah.
I had some knafe with brisket in it.
What's knafe?
Knafe is like this new thing. It's all the rage. They make sweet ones.
Did I have it?
Do you know what like those like Greek pastries are made out of? Like a phyllo dough, stringy, strawy kind of thing?
Yeah.
So they make savory ones and sweet ones. The savory ones have like brisket or meat in it, and the sweet ones have like cheese. The cheese was a little too sweet for me because they put like a syrup on it. Like a, what else did I eat? I don't know. Lots of stuff. I didn't get to do as much restauranting as I would have wanted to do because Pesach was coming up.
Did you do a takeout thing? It was like Waymo or something? What's it called?
Volt.
Yeah, Volt.
Incredible.
Yeah, so good.
Amazing. There's just so much food everywhere.
Oh
Passover's not a big deal because everything's open.
Yeah.
So, I had like a pasta bar. One of these pasta. I went to like
pasta.
Something.
Yeah, we
just
got
like
a lot of that.
The way they're doing it, just like Israeli chef, they just care. They're just making it right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Tel Aviv has a big chef scene too.
Yeah.
Of like chefs who've moved in and are like, oh, this chef is now trying this. He's got a spot here. He's got a spot here. Things are open till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did you get recognized? You said you got recognized a couple of times?
A couple times.
Yeah. What was that like? By who? By whom?
I think LL Security kept asking me questions. I was like, hey, do you know me? I just want to ask you who packed your bag. By who?
Random? Like American Jews on Facebook programs?
There was a few of those, sure, and I welcome them. One guy was like, "You're on Instagram, right? you're like on Instagram. Okay, so you're really so that was that."
Yeah.
One guy came up and said, "Like you look familiar," and I don't want to say anything, but I'm like, I don't know. He's like, "Were you like did you do like a perm video?" So that was like the Jewish stuff. And it's all Jewish. I'm in Israel, so everyone's going to be a Jew.
There's 1 in 100,000 chances. That,
but I was in a restaurant eating tacos. Great taco place. Incredible taco place. I forgot what it's called.
Really?
Yeah, like amazing tacos.
Tacos?
Tongue, chicken.
I missed that.
Asada. Carne asada. What's the other one called? Asado? Did they say it?
I think...
Whatever.
Oh, no, yeah. That's the other great thing. They have restaurants of just one cuisine that we can go to.
That's the beautiful thing of street food.
Yeah.
But then there's a table over there, and I'm getting a few looks, and then they hold up a phone, and they were like, and it's my page, and I'm like, it happened a bunch of times.
Cool. How'd your family react?
Huh?
How'd your family react?
Well, the kids kind of sometimes see it. They're just like, they don't really react. They don't know. And
it'll be so freaky if they looked at one of your kids and were like,
no. Well, they were giving me like, it was cool.
All right. Does that go a long way with the wife?
What?
Does it go a long way with the wife when you get
Does it go a long way with the wife?
Of like things are the investment's working?
I get like an okay.
Okay.
That it's working?
Yeah.
Well, I don't expect her to double down. That would kind of be weird.
No, but just a little.
She's not gonna be like,
bro, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah. It's cool.
So talk about you hit 100K.
But so I hit 100K on Instagram.
100K followers
in Israel.
On
not posting that much with a slowdown in post.
Yeah.
Instagram trying to reel me back in.
I have a logistical question.
Yes.
When I get followers, it just says so and so followed you. When you get 1,000 followers a day, what does the little heart thing drop down look like? Does it say when 1,000 people follow you, do you get 1,000 notifications? Or does it bunch them together and say...
I think it bundles.
It bundles?
I think it starts to bundle.
Yeah?
I mean, you click the heart button, you're saying? Like, what's going on?
Does it say, like, blank, blank, and 700 other people followed you today?
Maybe. I don't know. You could just kind of start scrolling down if you want. I don't do that no more.
You don't look at the notification and go...
I don't even look, bro.
Okay. All right. Well, that's informative.
I don't even... No, I think I look, but once you click it, like the notification goes away. to like see what's up. But there's like pairs and bundles of chunks of people.
Okay.
Maybe within the
my
hour.
question.
It might bundle by the hour. Like I don't know exactly, but like I'll go and like a follow. The things I pay attention to in like the alerts is like I pay attention to with the alerts is like messages and DMs and like if someone shared a video, I'll that will get me.
Interesting.
I will go check out who shared and like
Got it.
It'll show me shares. I could look at my phone at some point and show you the breakdown.
Got it.
For followers though, like I see it by the numbers when they appear. Like every 1,000 followers,
You
the
look
number
at
changes.
your profile and see.
Yeah, the number will change every 1,000 or whatever. I'm not sure what's driving it. Is it Candace?
Isn't it Harry?
Harry, Candace, Jordan. There's a bunch of videos that keep getting shared. And
I have to imagine that Instagram has some sort of setting of when you hit 100, like
100 what?
Like they want 100,000 followers, or I guess 85 or whatever it is. Like they want to be pushing solid accounts by whatever measure they measure that by.
To see.
They start to see, oh, this is a good account. We should this account will keep people on our platform.
Right.
So they start pushing you.
Could be.
I imagine.
I don't know the
more.
internals, but I do see videos. There's a video of me doing Jordan Peterson saying the itsy bitsy spider.
Mm-hmm.
I was in another Gary Vee story. I was in my car. The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and completely obliterated the spider's obvious sense of structure and substructure in an anthropomorphic way. You know, it's not easy being a bloody spider, you know? So like it's like that's all it is. But that video is almost at 1 million views or something. And like it keeps getting shared. Like in my shares, I'll see like reels getting shared.
Yeah.
But now Instagram gives you more information. It'll say so and so followed you because of this reel.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it'll show you the path.
That is
which
cool.
is interesting.
YouTube does that
like
too.
this reel and is now following
That's
you
cool.
or something like that. So it shows you which reel you can look at all the metrics and you're good at reading analytics. I'm not as good at it.
What you should be doing on that end is you find the reels that get the most subscribers and pay $100 a week and promote it.
But why do I need to promote it if it's doing well organically?
Because you'll get. I mean, you don't have to, but that's the Gary Vee. That's Gary Vee's whole thing now.
The ad spend.
Yeah, you find what works organically and then turn that into an ad. And I mean, so because I'm thinking you're at 100,000, really excited for you, really proud of you. We talked about it a little bit off camera.
Yeah.
But like, is your next goal like 1 million? Is that where you're thinking? Is that where your head's at?
Well, after this whole Israel talk, it's about to be cut in half for sure. My follower count. That took you a minute. Is my next goal
Your
1 million?
followers love this stuff. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. I'm not worried at all. I don't care. My next goal is not 1 million. As cool as that sounds to me. Do I want 1 million? Sure. But I want to turn this 100. I'd rather, if I had a choice between getting to 1 million followers abstractly, oh, cool, you have 1 million in theory, or turning this 100,000 into like real supporters.
Right.
I'd rather that.
How many do you?
I would love this. Like, I would love a video of like of goes viral. Somebody doing a video saying, "I'm running an experiment," and he makes this whole thing, and he's like, "The $1 a month club," or now that I've reached 1 million followers, I'm gonna ask each of you, of my followers, I call upon you, give me $1. It's called Can I have $1? Can I have $1? You know what I'm doing, right?
You told that story before.
Yeah, so there was a kid who I knew back in the day who used to ask for money, but it would be like this. Can I have $1? Like the Can I have $1 campaign.
Yeah.
And like you hold your Venmo up in your profile and like you just see what happens. You keep refreshing live on camera and seeing what comes in and just write AJ comedy in it. Can each of you give me $1? And then like the pull of the videos, like Mr. Beast, I'll make this guy a millionaire in one day. Yeah. Going from 0 to 1 million.
You have a blind spot the same way you give me shit for my blind spots.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
You have a big blind spot around making money off of yourself.
Off of myself?
Like, why don't you do it?
What's that?
Do it.
It's not a blind spot.
Do what you're talking about. Do it.
Okay. I'm just wondering, wouldn't everybody do that? In all of my research and trying to figure it out of like monetization and things like that, nobody Nobody says, and it doesn't work. I know it doesn't work. I know it doesn't work. I could try a video and try and do it, but I don't think it works.
But you don't try anything.
Go me?
To try, you don't try to monetize your audience. You haven't tried to monetize them yet.
I have AdSense coming in and creator fund stuff, but the direct, you mean patronage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started a Patreon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see you.
I'd love to see what that move is. I'm trying to make that play because I want to.
Yeah. So we talked about this.
But there's merch,
off the pod.
hard ticket sales, and patronage.
How many? You know the 1,000 true fans
Model.
theory. We've talked about that before.
Yes.
Yeah. So you need to figure out of those 100,000, how many of those people would be willing to buy anything you put out.
Yeah.
You could put out. I mean, there's a certain standard, but basically, if you're like, they're like, we like you. If you ask me for money and you send me something in return, I'll do it. I don't care what it is. I'm like that with Tim Dillon. I bought like a fake business mug. Like, I don't love it, but like I just wanted to do it.
Okay, good.
I'm a fan. I'm a real fan. I'll follow him anywhere.
It's a blind spot for me for sure, in the sense that like I just don't have the answer. I don't know what works.
Right, so you got to experiment.
And I don't know exactly where to push. And besides, my whole thing is like, you know, when the followers get big enough, you have brand deals is one. I know the avenues a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're blurry. So like I know that there's brand deals, and that's tricky.
What are you so nervous about?
I'm not nervous. I just. What do you mean?
I feel like you're
not a hesitation.
I feel like you're nervous to,
I'm not like turning
to cross
down,
that threshold and
I'm not
ask
turning
people
down
for money.
I'm not turning
There's
down.
A difference though. There's a difference.
What?
There's a difference between like it's like a guy.
Also,
a guy who never dates anyone.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's like, if someone asked me out, I would go out with them. It's not like I don't. It's not like I don't like girls, but it's like but you never ask anyone out. You never go out. Like you never do it. You know, there is like I know you don't not want to make money. Yeah. I know that. But like you seem to be.
To be fair,
hesitant.
there's been a bunch of opportunities because of social media, like indirectly. Like I'm now making. I made an exclusive content piece for some other app that I was hired to do. Yeah. I've gotten a lot of opportunities because of it.
It's different though.
What are you talking about?
Directly saying to your fans, "Hey, I know you follow me. I know you like my stuff. I'm selling something and I want you to buy it." I started a Patreon and I started a Patreon. I put up a video and I want you to follow. Yeah, I have a T-shirt.
I would do it.
No, it's hard.
I would do it.
You would.
I would. I'm not like a salesman.
I know. I'm pushing you on it because it's an interesting button to push.
You're pushing on it because it's fun for you.
I'm pushing you. It is a little bit fun, but I think it's.
You think it'll work?
Yes. No, I think you'll find out. You may only have 75 people. It's like this happens. You may only have 75 people who will actually send you money if you ask for it. Like for video, for Patreon, for a T-shirt, for whatever it is. That might be your proportion, 75 out of 100,000. You may have 10,000. You may have 10,000, but you're not going to know until you try something.
Yeah, I guess I have to think about it. I have to figure out exactly what would work or what to do.
Yeah.
A video asking people to buy something.
No, you come up with something to sell and you sell it. Yeah.
That I'm not great at.
I know.
Sales.
I know.
I'm not hesitant or afraid. I just don't have that particular skill of being like a salesman or thinking like that.
Yeah, you got it.
I guess you call it a blind spot. It's like not a part of my
the same way like
set.
As a writer you tell me, and I think you're right. You need to, or as a creative professional, you need to learn how to network. You need to build that,
but it just doesn't.
You need to learn how to do it. Like I think as a content creator, and maybe this is someone to have a good guest on to be like, you have to learn how to become a salesperson,
right?
Because that's the.
Even though I'm just saying, in the world that I'm in, everyone's like, just keep making the best video. This is Mr. Beast. You just have to focus on making your videos better. Keep reinvesting in your videos, and then you'll find success.
He's the same guy who opened up a hamburger chain.
I understand. So I don't get where that squares. His actions don't match necessarily always his advice. Yeah. He's clearly an entrepreneur, but I might still be in the baby stages for all I know.
I think you are, but I don't think it would be any different if you had 10 million followers.
You don't think so?
I think more brands would be coming to you, but I still think the better you can get.
I have no problem filling a room of people and charging a ticket for that, but I have to just have what to perform in front of them, which takes a lot of work.
Right, so that's the thing you're comfortable with. Selling tickets. You would sell a ticket, no problem.
I have no problem with an exchange.
Yeah.
You're not asking for money when you put on a concert.
I'm talking about an exchange. I'm talking about you're giving an awesome, funny, fun T-shirt that somebody will be proud to wear because they're a fan of yours.
Right.
I'm not talking about just send me $1.
I ain't in fucking retail. That's a thing. Like I don't sell clothes. That's why it's a blind spot for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's a new way to think.
What I do sell is entertainment. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I get it. The mug has a little funny thing on it, but the reason it doesn't like click for me, I'm not saying I'm against doing it, is like I have no problem when I tell people to come see a show and buy a ticket. I'm not asking them for money, even though I am asking for their money. I'm asking them to come see a show, and it costs something. That's the difference.
On Patreon, you could sell content though on Patreon.
Correct. Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. That's the next thing is like exclusive content and Instagram. Just maybe it's not on your Instagram yet, but it's certainly on mine. There's a new feature now called subscribers, which I turned on. I'm trying to enable all those things.
Oh, you can pay.
You could just post whatever you want in the subscriber one. It'll only go to people who subscribe to you. They're trying to build in Patreon into Instagram.
Oh, interesting.
Directly. They're all trying to do it because everybody in my position is in the same way. It's like I have all this attention.
There's follower and subscriber now?
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all kind of happening, but patience, right? Like that's the thing also. I'm also like, I'm always questioning if I'm doing everything I can and like how much of it is patience and how much of it is strategy and like making sure you're doing what you should be doing. Or like you're saying, is it a blind spot or I just know I'm just have to be patient and it will reveal itself to you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But merch is definitely something I'm like, okay, that's but again, like I have no.
It's not the merch of it. It's not even important. That's not even so much what I'm saying.
You just
no,
said,
I think you're right. If you had a ticket, that would be a good, just an experiment.
It's like if we want to talk strategy business here live on the pod, right? You got hard tickets.
Yeah, we're talking about being a content creator.
Yes, content creator. You have hard tickets.
Yeah.
You have brand deals, which I've done a couple of little things related to that, I guess you could say, where people have sponsored videos.
Yeah.
So that's happened. I've had performances, what I've been hired for, and that I could push in terms of my like hired to do. That does come my way a little bit. I could push more to fill my own rooms for my own show, which I'm developing. So that takes a lot of time. To do like a solo comedy music kind of show that I could fill seats with. But the thing is, what I was talking about with Elon on the last episode was like, I think I'm in a position where if I pushed on my social, I could fill rooms in ways that would surprise me. Not sure, but you know.
But
so
you want to make sure you have a tight show before you do that.
Right, exactly. I want to get people their money's worth and make a good impression the first time around.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I just want to be comfortable. Hard tickets, brand deals, merchandise, patronage. Merchandise is an exchange.
Exclusive content.
Yeah, exclusive content. Patronage means I support you because I like what you do. Like, I like what you so like the way you do with Tim.
That's give me $1.
Give me $1.
That's give me $1.
Give me $1 because I've given you a lot. I'm giving you a lot, folks.
Well, I pay $5 a month to Tim.
Yeah.
For a podcast a week that's better than the one he puts out for free. That's why I pay.
You got to do something for that.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to do that. I put in enough giving you all this other free stuff. Like, why do you need another thing from me?
Yeah.
Why can't you just give me $1?
If you told that story and then asked for $1, I think there's a certain amount of people that would do it.
Yeah, give me $1. Give me $1. Anyway, I identified 4, maybe 5, whatever lanes to pursue.
Yeah.
But while thinking about all that, I have to make stuff.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of time to do biz dev.
Yeah.
That's my blind spot is biz dev.
Yeah.
Right?
You could do an audio only Frumi Umi podcast. I would listen to that.
There are some people who think like that. Oh, why don't you put together an exclusive Zoom thing?
Yeah, how do you do it?
Anyway, the patronage is interesting. But I'm just curious as an experiment, like, give me $1.
Yeah.
Like, what would happen?
I know, but this whole thing started because I'm giving you shit because you won't actually experiment with it.
I'll do it. Prove you wrong, to prove that I will take my own advice and do it.
I'm not saying it's a good idea.
Well, then I won't do it if it's not a good idea.
You should do a good idea. You should do a good idea.
Or I'd want to do it in a way that would work, but based on that principle. Give me $1.
Yeah.
Hey, 200,000 TikTok followers. Give me $1.
Maybe there'll be an AI soon that you can say, make me money.
Yeah.
And it'll just do it for you.
The best strategy I could think of is to make a video that's entertaining and is asking for money, but in a funny way. Because there's no better way to get somebody to give you something than by entertaining them first, as opposed to just saying, give me $1.
It would be so strange. I don't think anybody just says, give me money. Everyone's selling something.
Give me $1. Hey, give me $1.
That's what you're saying. That's your thing.
Give me $1.
That's your thing.
Give me $1. Give me $1. But what if you made a funny song about being broke and famous, you know?
Just give me $1. Yeah.
I had a song, Broken Famous.
Yeah, you're not
That's
broke.
what it's like to be. No, I know,
Yeah.
I know. But the concept is a funny concept because we do live in a time where you can be aware of like being broke and famous. I had this idea for a song, and the hook is broken famous. I want to, because I don't want to be broken famous. It's what it's like to be broken famous. Guys, like
I'd listen to that.
Something like the lyrics about like.
Maybe you could sell tickets to a show, and then just collect money from the audience live.
This is your dark, twisted
Just give
mind.
me money.
Anyway, can we shit on you for a little bit? I mean, I don't feel shat on, but all right.
We shit on me every week. This is the one time we get to shit on you. What do you want to shit on me about?
It's because you disgust me. No, what else is there to discuss?
We're talking about AI a little bit. I feel like
AI. It's wild what's happening with AI. We can wrap on this one.
Well, did you hear? This is a good topic we can wrap on. Did you hear the Weekend Drake song that went viral on Spotify?
I didn't hear it, but I heard about the story.
It's pretty good. I read a cool take on it.
Yeah.
Where by this guy Ben Thompson again. Where he was saying the record company's immediate response. So if you don't know, this guy named Ghostwriter or something.
Kind of a funny name.
It's a funny, yeah. He didn't just type in "write me a song with Drake and AI." He worked very hard at writing lyrics that are good for Drake's voice and writing lyrics that are good for The Weeknd.
And he wrote the lyrics?
I think he wrote the lyrics.
He prompted.
I think he wrote the lyrics and he wrote the beat and then there's something called like AI Duck or something, or Duck AI, and you can put an artist's voice to the lyrics you wrote. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So he did a lot of work but he actually wrote this incredible song. He could never have gotten The Weeknd and the Drake to rap on it.
You boomer. The Weeknd and the Drake.
But he put this thing together with their voices, put it up on Spotify, and it's like being played in clubs now. It's like a hit. It has like almost 1 million.
It's the first AI
plays
hit
on Spotify, and the record companies immediately wrote a cease and desist letter to Spotify saying, "Shut it down. You cannot play anything created by AI."
As expected.
Exactly. So this guy Ben Thompson wrote like this is how they responded to streaming. And in the end, what they realized is we're actually not selling music. What we're selling are little plastic discs with music on it. But if people could figure out another way to get the music, then they're not going to buy our plastic discs. So he said there are certain artists who you're not selling their music because you can get music anywhere and all of music is free all the time for everybody. So you're not actually selling music. What you're selling is almost like there's so much music out there, but I know when Drake puts out a song, it's worthwhile to listen to. So Drake is pretty much selling his own brand at this point. So he had an interesting take where he said, what the smart artists will start doing is licensing their voices and saying, which they're doing anyway to songwriters through the record companies. Well, they're saying, come into the studio, write me a song, we'll both make a lot of money, and I'll sing it. Like he's saying, like I'll give you my voice and my brand and my audience,
and my performance.
And you give me a song, and it's just done in person. Like
it's just done between two humans. Now it's done between a human and machine.
Right. So what Drake could do is create a library and say anyone who wants, who can do it, can pay me for my voice, and the best songs win.
Do you know what a sample pack is?
No.
It's when you deposit semen. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
Sample pack is just artists release their sounds. Like the producer for Drake will release a drum sample pack. These are the sounds I designed that I made the Drake album with. And he releases them for sale on a website or for free download.
Yeah.
And then other artists will take those samples and make new stuff.
That's how it's done?
What do you mean?
Like when someone
Not always,
is
but,
like, these are the drums from Thriller.
Yeah, I got the sample pack.
Cool.
Like, it was released by such and such.
I didn't know
or
that.
The stems. You know what the stems are?
No.
They're the individual tracks from Michael Jackson. Were just released by by whatever record.
Yeah.
Warner released them so that DJs can remix them and play
cool.
with them. And there's a website called Splice that has sample packs of everybody. And
that's what Splice does?
That's what Splice is. There's two different kinds of Splice. Splice is there's a video app called Splice, but there's a website. Whatever. Producers know about this. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and so am I now.
It's the same idea, but now it's like to the next level. The AI is taking the voice and likeness of an artist that exists now in the world, which has to exist to begin with. And the reason it's cool is because it's recognized as Drake.
Yeah.
But does Drake get compensated for Ghostwriter song?
No. That's what he's saying. He's like, it's like Kaza and the record companies. The smart artists will say, hey, pay me for my voice and use it because you're going to use it anyway. So I'll give you the best quality and I'll work with an AI engineer to make it the best, and you just use it.
Have fun, make songs.
Have fun, make songs, and I'll get rich that way instead of making
embracing the tech.
Right, because eventually,
100%.
Exactly.
It will go that way.
Yeah.
I saw another clip on TikTok. Did you see the one of David Guetta?
No.
With an Eminem hook?
No.
You know.
Oh yeah, I did. And
it's not him. And
he took Eminem's voice and played
made a
it
hook
himself.
Out of it.
Yeah.
But should Eminem get paid if that blows up?
So it's the same question. Should Metallica get paid for the music people are stealing? Like kind of, but he's not going to.
Yeah,
so you better
that'll be a
figure it out.
legally interesting thing because Eminem did not create the lyric. But no, you know why? Because the song is doing well based on the value that Eminem created
Exactly.
using his voice. He should be compensated.
It's
for
his
it.
likeness.
It's his
He should
likeness.
get paid for his likeness.
Yes,
You're
using it.
So this guy Ben Thompson, this writer Ben
So
Thompson, he compared it to NCAA players who were being used on covers of video games and they weren't getting paid.
Right. It's like using a picture.
He's like,
of somebody.
oh, you're a student athlete, but he's like, no, the reason you're selling this game is because of my face.
Right.
You should be paying me, and they won that lawsuit
because of my face.
Because
what
my
if somebody?
likeness.
What if somebody drew a picture of Eminem and then sold it? Should Eminem get paid for that?
I would think so. It's still his likeness.
An original picture.
Likeness. I guess likeness is a good word for it. It's not his.
It's likeness,
face.
but Eminem would not in today's legal world get paid for that kind of.
Why is a photograph that different than a painting? Just higher fidelity.
It might not be different if somebody owns the photograph. Who owns the photograph? But the photograph is. I'm saying this is all legal questions.
But then the photographer would get paid, not Eminem.
The photographer would.
Yeah.
Should Eminem get paid because the photographer? The reason it's valuable is because it's Eminem.
Right. It's a good question.
These are all good, interesting legal questions.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's a wild west.
It's wild what's happened. I was saying it was like ChatGPT came out 6 months ago, and now there's a hit song using AI on Spotify. Right. It's happening so fucking quickly. I was saying before, like someone's gonna come from the future and they'll be like, "It's the year 2024."
Yeah, exactly.
And they're gonna be like dressed up in like space stuff.
That's a great point. You mean it's only a year from now?
Yeah,
it's very fast. I remember when email was starting, and there was like a 5-year lag before it became standardized.
Yeah,
like email was like this one computer teacher used it in elementary school. You're like, "What's that?" It's called. What does email stand for?
Electronic mail.
Right. Thank you. You know what I mean? It's called electronic mail.
Yeah.
And like then 5 years later, you were kind of using it. And then after about 10 years, everybody was kind of using it.
Yeah.
Facebook took a bunch of years, 6 months.
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Crazy.
Wow, wow, wee wah. I kind of love it. It's exciting. These things always repeat themselves. The .com boom, the this and that. This is going to replace that. Everybody gets scared. The labels reacted exactly as predicted.
What's funny to me also is,
it leads to their
people like
obsolescence.
Gary Vee now.
It's loving ChatGPT.
I'll leave Gary.
AI.
I'll leave. There's a guy, NFT Kings.
Okay.
Whatever. All these crypto influencers have fully jumped on to AI, and content creation.
What does that tell you?
What's
funny about that to you?
What's funny about it to me is that the thing that they were saying was going to change the world and that they were so passionate about, they suddenly have lost interest in.
Even NFTs
because they're not.
Gary's not lost interest in NFTs.
Yeah, so I don't want to speak for Gary because the other thing Gary said was 99% of these are going to zero, and I'm so I don't know what he says about it now, so I'm gonna leave him out of it. But it's that a content creator is a content creator, and they're gonna follow the good content. And it was AI, it was crypto for a while, and now it's not.
Almost predictable. What are they gonna say about AI? They're gonna love it. They're gonna say it's the greatest thing. If you're not using AI right now artificially, you're a boomer, right?
So someone sent me a clip of Gary Vee saying AI is what the internet was in 1995.
That's what I just saw that.
And I was like, oh, I remember him saying that about something else a year ago.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. And what's even
you know what really cut me deep? You don't think my Gary Vee impression is good, and I'm still thinking about it. How
really?
Could you not see it? It didn't hurt my feelings, but I'm still astounded by your blind.
I apologize.
That's your blind spot.
It's I owned up to it though.
What? That it's just you?
I'm obviously in the minority.
Just watch.
The face. I think you do better voices. I don't think the voice.
The face
is the part of Gary Vee that hits me. We joke about Nimaz, but Nimaz's impression hits me more.
Because it's the high. You like the higher pitch? That's what gets you.
It hits. I'm laughing. I'm laughing now.
Genuinely, because you really like when it goes high. To the folks out there, he doesn't even do that anymore, Gary. It's much more mellow.
Okay.
Right? I haven't done it in so long. I really took a break because I really exhausted it. I didn't know it should be the nasal. Like this doesn't do it, but the high.
The great thing about impressions is there's no thought. When it works, it works. But you have other ones that get me like that. Mm-hmm. And for the Gary Vee, it just doesn't get me like that.
I understand.
I don't know what to say.
Anyway. Yeah, you were saying though.
Yeah, you should work on it.
Should I go to VCon this year?
Elon was very complimentary. How'd that feel?
How'd it feel with Elon?
Yeah.
Well, very nice.
He said very nice things about you.
I want to talk about you. I'm working on
Elon.
Oh yeah,
that was Elon, yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about
when he
does that.
He should have podcast because he's very good at tracking the conversation, I thought, and managing it. And when he wants to at least look like he's listening, he's very good at it.
It was a great podcast.
Yeah.
Had a really good time.
Yeah.
But wait, Michael, I want to talk about you.
That must have felt pretty good. He didn't say that to me. He said that to you.
Right. Right. Why would he say that to you?
He's someone that you looked up to.
It was great. It was great. It was great. He said that off the pod too, and he's proofs in the pudding has given me a lot of opportunities to like perform and stuff, and I've always been, and he's been very generous and gracious with me. Yeah. And we had fun.
Do you think we'll get like 1 million followers after that episode, and then everyone will tune into this one and see me talking about apartheid?
That would be an interesting story to the end of Buckle Up. But in the meantime, it'll be deep buried in the episode, and we won't clip it, or we will. I'm Yisrael Chai. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is episode 58.
58.
We back in business, baby.
We're almost a boomer in Buckle Up episode years.
What's a boomer?
Getting into the 60s? I don't know.
That was good. That bombed.
Is this on? All right, Fingy baby. Yeah, keep it crispy, everybody.
Keep it crispy. You're ripping lines of other pods. Anyway, that's Buckle Up 58. Thanks for watching, everybody. We back in business.